What up everybody, it's Ross Protection here. This is going to be my second YouTube video. Hope you check out my video on the Kel-Tec PF9 and my everyday carry situation. Today I'm going to talk about the Glock 19, specifically how to clean the Glock 19 and really any other pistol. Any other semi-automatic pistol, polymer framed, this is going to apply to. I pretty recently started out messing around with firearms, not messing around, but respecting firearms and using them to practice, admire, collect, shoot, and defend myself. And the Glock 19 was one of my choices along the way. It's an amazing pistol. I think that everyone should have a Glock 19. I lucked out enough to get the OD framed model that I have heard from some sources is going to be discontinued by Glock in the near future. I'm a big fan of OD, and this OD is almost even looks like a coyote tan color, so I'm a big fan of that. Just gives it a cool look aside from just that kind of black Glock thing. So yeah, cleaning the pistol. This gun, and you should do with every pistol, is you should safety check it, remove the magazine without putting your finger on the trigger, and work the slide. You want to lock the slide open. Okay, check in there with your finger. As you can see, my finger is a little dirty because I just shot about 200 rounds of Silver Bear ammo through it. It's a Russian manufactured ammunition, and it's fine, and it shot really straight. However, the powder in there is a bit dirty, and it does foul up your gun after not too many rounds. So first thing I'm going to do is field strip the pistol. What you want to do is grab the pistol as so with your finger right here and pull back about a 1/10 of an inch. Actually, first what you got to do, is you got to dry fire that to bring the hammer down. Boom. Okay. And then you're going to bring it back about 1/10 of an inch or so, and drop these two little pull down levers here, and then the whole thing just slides off. Really simple to field strip. Then what you want to do is do a basic strip of your pistol. You want to remove your recoil spring, and then you want to remove your barrel. I love this barrel, by the way. It is I don't know if it's match grade or if Glock uses that philosophy, but it's a great barrel. And then you're done. Your gun is field stripped and ready to be cleaned according to Glock. First thing I do is I take out my solvent. And before I do that, I want to introduce you to my gun cleaning kit. I think that anyone who has multiple firearms should really invest in just a toolbox of some sort, or a fishing tackle box, in order to put all their gun cleaning or gunsmithing stuff in. It's going to keep it all together, and there's lots of little weird parts like patches that are really easy to lose. So keep them all together and it'll be less of a mess. Let's see, these are cloth patches I picked up from a gun store and cut down. They're about they're squares about a couple inches side by side, so I cut them into quarters. That seems like a good size to go through the barrel and do what I need to do to manipulate it. So I'm going to take out my solvent. In this case, I choose Hops 9 solvent. Just a classic gun solvent. You really can't go wrong with any of the Hops products. We'll open this up. And what you want to do is put a bit of solvent on your patches. So that patch is wetted, and I'm going to start with the slide, and you're just going to work this solvent over the pistol. And I don't know if you saw before, but there was some barrel fouling, or not barrel fouling, excuse me, but just some powder stains going on this nice black slide. You want to be sure that you get even the front of the slide and the exterior of the slide rather in solvent, so that you don't have to deal with that yunky light gray stains on it. So we're covering that up right now. The next thing we're going to do is apply solvent into the internals of this slide. And really any place that you see these kind of brassy looking flecks, that's going to come off as so, and that is what you need to get off of there. It's all of that nice Russian powder that's kind of just eating everything up in there. So you basically just want to get, you know, a touch of solvent everywhere, and the idea is once that solvent's on there, look at that nice black cloth. Once that solvent's on there, you're going to let it sit, and that's going to make all of that fouling really easy to come off. So here's where Q-tips come in nicely. If you have little hard to reach spots, like where the firing pin is on the slide, then what you'll want to do is use a Q-tip. I don't like to use Q-tips too much just because they're kind of messy in that the cotton kind of frays off the edge, and I've noticed if you're not careful, the little bits of cotton can get caught in your gun, which obviously you don't want. You want your gun clean and lubed real minimally. So I'm going to use the Q-tip to get into the little crevices here and apply solvent. And then you can just flip it over, use the other side, and dip it in the hops as so. You're going to need some more hops here pretty soon. Then we move on to the barrel. I'm going to go all the way over the exterior of the barrel with the solvent. The recoil spring I usually don't worry too much about unless I really need to clean it. It hasn't been too long that I've cleaned it, so just around the edges apply some solvent around here, and that should be good. Okay, and then with the slide, let's see, a little more solvent on here. All of these shiny metallic parts, you definitely want to apply solvent. Also, you're going to see some powder down in there in the internal mechanism, and it just kind of looks like that smoky color. And if you see the smoky color, you're going to throw some solvent on it. And later, you're going to use a dry cloth to pull all that solvent and powder off the gun. So I've been working on my slide here and getting solvent where it needs to be, or sorry, not the slide, but the frame of the gun here. What I'm going to do now, if you can see this horizontal piece right there in the camera, there's a little bit of gap between that and the polymer part of the frame. And there's going to be powder in there, so you want to go down in there to get that stuff out. And the way I do that is I grab one of my jags here. These are just great to have. These are made by General. This is a 35 degree, and you can pick these up by like packs of 4, and I think they're $10. And they also come in handy for gunsmithing. They're just a good tool to have for your box. What I do is I just kind of poke a little hole on here, have it in there like so, and just because this hops is so old, I just slide it down in there, and I use the tip of that jag to pull that up. Okay, now that's soaked with solvent. Okay, I'm going to slide that back on there because it was removed. And then what I can do is go in here with the slide and just use this and working this wet patch into that little crevice. And that's going to work great to get in all these little places where a Q-tip's not going to fit or a rag's not going to fit. And I'll go through like that. So you can see how disgusting this little patch is once I put it in all the hard to reach places on the frame. So that just lets you know you really need to get down in there and clean those parts of your gun if you want a truly clean weapon. And personally, I clean my weapon every time, within a day after I shoot it. So everything that's in there, all the dirt and grime and gunk comes out nice and easily. Another place you shouldn't forget to throw some solvent on, and it hasn't really happened today. I shot pretty quickly today, but if you shoot an extended amount of rounds down range, the front of this frame is going to get some dark powder burns along it. So and especially if you have an OD or a lighter colored frame, it's going to show a lot more as opposed to the black. Actually, you know, I can't really say. I don't own a black, but you should really do it anyway. I'm going to use a Q-tip for that and go down in there, a nice bit of solvent on it. And solvent I use pretty liberally just because it's all going to come off. Obviously you don't want to throw a ton of solvent down there in the internal mechanism or anything, but for the most part it's just don't worry too much about how much in this, except when it comes to lube. Then you need to be very careful that you don't use too much. I'll talk about that. So we got that covered in solvent. One of the most important places that you need to clean out, obviously, is inside of your barrel. We haven't done that yet, so I'll show you how. I used a full-size patch. I folded it in half, and I'm going to give it a couple dips with this hops, a little tiny bit more, okay? And it's going to give a nice light soak onto that patch, and I'm just going to clean right there around the front. And then what I'll do is I'll go in with the bore brush and I'll get out all that junk that's inside of the barrel. But first that needs to be cleaned. And you see that? This is why you should clean your gun every time. Imagine if I waited, you know, 1,000 rounds to clean it. It'd be take you a long time. So I recommend keeping up with this, or else your firearms will suffer and they will scream at you in their saves. Okay. So I got out my bore brush from the tackle box. This is a nylon bore brush and it came with the Glock 19. I recommend using nylon. I don't know, I just feel weird about using another metal on metal. It's just something, I don't know, it just feels weird to me. Gives me that whole nails on the chalkboard feeling, and I hate that feeling. So nylon. What I'm gonna do here, just all we want to do now is apply solvent inside. So I'm gonna use my hops, wet this. Okay, now we got solvent on there. I'm gonna stick it on the edge of this bore brush. I'm gonna run it through here. Another good way to get solvent on there is use a couple Q-tips and just kind of go down in there and roll it around, because again, all of this wet stuff is going to be removed. This is just getting the solvent in there. It's going to work to break up all of those molecules in there so that we can clean the weapon much easier. Let's give it one more go through with the hops. So what do we do now? We've put the solvent on there in all the places we need it, really anywhere where there's going to be fouling. We need to apply solvent so that that stuff breaks up. Now you want to wait. You can wait as little as 5 or 10 minutes or as much as overnight.